Okay, so here's the second part of Chapter 9, Section 1. So, we're talking about ordinances and what they are, and then why it's better for local governments to have just one company provide electricity to a town instead of having multiple companies fight over it, because then what would happen is the price would go up. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the county system of government in the United States. Now, the county system of government in the U.S. was borrowed from England. This is what they had going on over there. And then over here in the United States, they thought, that seems to work pretty good over there. Maybe we can just do the same thing here. We'll change it a little bit, tweak it here and there, but we'll pretty much do the same thing. Now, different parts of the U.S. back during colonial days did different things. In the southern part of the United States, they organized things more like the counties of England. As you went further north, they used more of the village concept, in some places the town concept, in some places the township concept, just depending on where you're at. But in the southern colonies, and in the southern colonies or the southern agricultural states, we're talking about Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So, what would happen is that as you got further south, the states were a little larger in size, and so people were spread out more. The distance from one plantation to another plantation was going to be much greater. And so what you would have happen is from time to time the plantation owners would say, well, we need to have a meeting to discuss some things. So let's say that you had plantation owner number one and they were living in that area, and then you had number two living there, and then you had number three and they were living about right there, and then number four was living there, and number five, and you can probably guess where I'm going to place number five. Number five was living about right there. So then number one says, well, we'll have a meeting and I'll host it at my place. And so everyone said, that's okay. Well, five then realizes how far it is to get from his place to number one. Then number two says, well, I'm going to have a meeting. Then number four realizes how far it is to get from his place to number two. So then four says, you know what? I'm going to have a meeting. And then two thinks, well, geez, that was an awful long way to go. Well, then five says, well, I'm going to have a meeting. And while all this is going on, number three's right here in the middle, and he's like, you know what? It didn't take me that long to get to one, to two, to three, or to four, or five. And he says, if they were smart, we just have all of our meetings right here, and then everyone would have to travel the same distance. And so that's what they started to do. And so, in fact, everything began to be centered right here in the middle. And if this was the county, if the county was in the shape of, say, a square or a rectangle, everything was right here in the middle. So this became known as the county seat. And so today we have county seats throughout our counties. Now, your county seat is normally going to be the center of where all county business is going to be taking place. And what will happen is at the county seat, normally you're going to have your courthouse there. And of course, that's going to be the focal point of everything in the county. It's also normally where in modern society your fairgrounds are going to be located. And sometimes, but not all the times, it's also the largest town in the county. So for example, Pierce is the county seat of Pierce County. It's not necessarily the most centrally located. Centrally located would probably be Osmond, but Pierce is the county seat. We have our courthouse here. We have the fairgrounds here. It's also the largest town in Pierce County. If you go to Madison, Madison County, the county seat of Madison County is not Norfolk, it's Madison. That's where the courthouse is. That's where their fairgrounds are, but it's not the largest town in Madison County. Norfolk is. If you go to Antelope County, which is directly west of Pierce, Neely is the county seat there. The fairgrounds are in Neely. The courthouse is in Neely. If you go to Knox County, which is directly north of Pierce County, you have the county seat is the town of Center. Now, the courthouse is located in Center, but the fairgrounds are not. The fairgrounds are actually located in Bloomfield. And Center is not the largest town in Knox County. I believe either Creighton or Bloomfield might be the largest town there, but it's not Center. In fact, Center is one of the smallest towns. But Center, like the name of the town implies, is centrally located. So depending on where you're at, some counties will use the largest town. One will use the one that's most centrally located. It just depends on what they have. Now, since today is a shortened class period, I'm going to end these notes here. However, we are not done with this section. We will cover that at a later time.